Hello, my name is Tim Scannell, and I am Director of Strategic Content for the CIO Executive Council. Welcome to CIO Live, a series of discussions with top IT leaders on leadership, innovation, and driving digital value at every level of an organization. The series is sponsored by HP, broadcast live, and distributed through the IDG Worldwide Network. Today, we're talking trash, real trash, as in refuse and recycling. It's not reality TV, it's reality IT. My guest today is Gautam Roy, Vice President of IT at Waste Management. Welcome, Gautam.
Hi, Tim. How are you? Good afternoon.
Very well, thank you. Thank you for coming on board. Hopefully, everyone is familiar with waste management. And if you're not, then you're just not looking out your home or office window to see all of those green trucks out there. The company is the largest environmental solutions provider in North America and has the largest network of recycling facilities, transfer stations, and landfills in the industry. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone that this is a highly interactive discussion, and we highly encourage audience participation. In short, please ask questions during the event, and we'll do our very best to answer them. You can post questions in the right column or lower area input boxes of your screen, or tweet using the handle #CIOchat. There may be also an instant polling question in the right column, so please contribute your thoughts to the posed questions. If you're tuning in late, and honestly I don't know why you do that, the entire session will be available on demand soon after it begins. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to Gautam, who is enormously better suited than I to tell you more about waste management. I'd also like to invite everyone to click on the slide image in the lower right hand of your screen as Gautam gives a snapshot of the company. Go ahead, Gautam.
So thank you, Tim. So I would love to talk about waste management. So we are a leading provider of integrated waste management and environmental solution. $14 billion in revenue, a Fortune 200 companies. We are 40,000 employees, 21 million customers, and we primarily serve the market around residential, commercial, and industrial. About 20,000 trucks on the road. And along with our waste operations, we produce green energy, landfill gas to energy, about 300 such landfills. We manage about 15 million recyclable commodities. And we cover North America, and we have business processes overseas.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing. It's an amazing company, and you know, obviously you can look at this stuff in the chart, but I mean the ability to create energy from all of this to power more than 1.1 million homes, and you have over 40,000 employees. It's just an amazing network of resources, and the important thing here is that all of these are happening together, and it's a whole ecosystem of productivity, and a lot of that is being driven by IT, of course, because you need the systems and structure and the infrastructure behind that. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Gautam, digital is playing an increasingly important role in both IT and business in general. What do you see as some of the key drivers in this space in both technology and strategy?
You know, so for business, I would say that the business disruption is accelerating at a very fast pace. The risk is getting amplified. You know, you throw in globalizations, hyper competitiveness, obviously the cost pressure and time to market. Those are some of the the drivers, I would say, in the business world. And in the IT, it's all about choices. Mobile devices are in the hands of our customers. Unstructured data is growing. Embedded technologies such as IoTs and the need for real-time analytics. These are some of the drivers, in my opinion, that are driving the digital adoption.
Yeah, you hit a lot of key points there, I think, that are of major interest to our audience. Mobile, the Internet of Things, structured and unstructured data. So let's start with mobile, and how, I know that the company has engaged and launched a lot of mobile projects that enhance the customer experience. So maybe you can touch on that, on IT's role in driving mobility and implementing it from a customer standpoint.
So for waste management, so I joined waste management 5 years ago, and at the time we had to get the foundations right. For example, the basic block and tackling, and we did that, and then so now we are in a position to expand on those on that infrastructure, on that capabilities. So now we are able to serve our customer via online channel, via call center. We are working on fleet maintenance and operations of our trucks, billing, customer billing, centralized procurement are being augmented by technology. A whole slew of work around IT, around digital experience has been done at Waste Management.
And obviously, you know, a lot of your customers, everyone's getting more mobile centric. Everything's done on your mobile device, whether it's an iPhone or an Android device. Walk me through the process. So I'm a customer right now, and you know, it's Saturday morning, and I'm waiting for the buzz of the truck to come down the street, and I have my mobile phone. You know, how do I do things that make waste management's job more productive and efficient, and maybe save me a few bucks in the process?
Yeah, so you know, I mean, it's a great question. So, on a weekend or off hours, if you may, so you can go to our website. You can, and if you can log in through as an account as a waste management customer, you can see the services that are offered in your areas. You can see your invoices. You can see the bill. You can see the ETA of your service. So there are a whole slew of capabilities and functions that we are providing to our customers, and of course we are adding on to that and augmenting to those capabilities. We just have to make sure that the information that we are providing is accurate, is something that you need, and is something that is fulfilling your need.
Right, and it gives the customer more control over the process, especially today. We have some people who are very, very interested in sustainability and recycling, and this sort of gets them involved in the whole thing. And if they weren't involved before, then they can use their mobile device and get involved in that process.
That's right. I mean, you can come in through our website, through a desktop. You can use. We have apps on our mobile phones and mobile apps. You can use those that mobile app to interact with us via using your iPhone, your Android. So there are capabilities and functionalities that we have made available to our customers, and we are trying increasingly to provide customers the choices. And we want to make sure, and I call it as a frictionless customer experience. Is instead of dictating to the customer, what we are trying to do is providing more choices to the customer. The customer should be able to interact with us on the channel of their choice, on their terms, at their own time, and to have the information at their fingertip, and just giving them being empowered to make those decisions by themselves as much as we can.
I see, and I love that term, frictionless experience. It's sort of an old school term that applies to this new age of our sustainability and what Waste Management is trying to do to re-energize and reinvent the business, so to speak. And at the center of it all is innovation. I mean, and I know the IT department at Waste Management is one of the key drivers of this, especially as you get more involved with the business side and making business decisions and implementing business solutions. Tell me a little bit about the innovation on the IT's part. You know, how's it happening? What's driving it? How do you spread the word?
Yeah, so you know, that's a great question. So you know, I would say that you know, you take innovation. So let's play with that. Faced with slow growth, commoditization, and global competition, you know, many CEOs like ours, we view innovation as critical to corporate success, right? Now, what happens is some then think innovation as synonymous to new product development. But such myopia may lead to erosion or systematic erosion of competitive advantage. And what happens is, as we within the industry, we try to, if we pursue the same customer with the same similar offering, undifferentiated capabilities and processes over a course of time, we tend to look like each other. And innovation, as you said, I mean, it's not all the necessarily has to be big ideas. It's really the small ones that brings a lasting value. And true innovation is not just about making a choice, but about creating a choice. And at Waste Management, we are pursuing, building, encouraging culture that is entrepreneurial, that is where we are hiring, empowering people to be more business aware, more business centric, understand that we are doing it not for technology as a technology's sake, but really to enable the business growth.
Right, and I think culture is very important. You mentioned the term culture and people, and offering that entrepreneurial atmosphere for everyone. But 40,000 employees, and I'm thinking of the people who are riding that truck on Saturday morning. It's got to trickle all the way down to them as well. And is that part of your purveyance with IT to work with business to make it open to everybody within the organization, that ability to be innovative and recognized?
Yes, and well, and so they have to be part of the process, right? Because and it's very critical that business is part of the process. After all, you are augmenting business value, and so they need to be involved, and we are involving them from idea generation, from discussions, from steering, from execution, and then the value adoption. It's really urgent. It's really critical that we talk about a common definition of a business problems that together we are trying to solve, and we need to make sure that the business feels in that way, and they need to also believe the outcome of that effort, because if there is an alignment between business and IT in driving innovation, then we can truly, I believe, impact our customer.
Okay, so innovation is very important. So this leads to a question: is a lot of companies throw that term around almost like a buzzword. It's I don't think any company out there is going to admit that they're not innovative, but finding a company that really does innovative things is sometimes going to be a challenge. I mean, real, honest to goodness innovation. What distinguishes a project at Waste Management as innovative? What do you see as some of the traits or the objectives that make it an innovative initiative?
Yes. So, as I mentioned, that innovation for the sake of innovation, that's not, I think, the right way to look at it. It needs to bring in tangible value, new value. It need to create new value for the business and for the customer. Innovation has to be, and not all innovation are successful projects or successful outcome. But a progressive organization, a learning organization, always are experimenting with ideas, with projects. The outcome of it is you are learning from it. You're incorporating the learning back into the system, and as you go through this process, if a couple of those attempts are successful, then you are making quite a big impact for your customer and for your company.
Yeah, and I think, as you said earlier, it's not just about product development, innovation. That's not always the objective. It's just coming up with fresh ideas, getting everyone involved in that process of defining ways to make the business different, to create a competitive edge, to move forward, be better customer experience, and all that. Do you have a formal innovation program within the company?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that one more time, Tim?
Yeah, so innovation is very important, and it's not just about developing a product or having a saleable product at the end of the road. It's about the process of being innovative, of instilling that innovation within the organization. Do you have a formal innovation program, or do you do pilots within? How do you get everyone involved?
We don't have, and that's the thing we are working on. We don't have a formal innovation program. We are without calling it formally. We are working, as I mentioned. I would say like an innovation lab. I mean, we don't have a name like innovation lab, but what it really is, it's not a platform for just for IT. It's the framework that we have, and we are working towards it. There is no formality around it. We are working with business. We are being a consultant to the business, working hand in hand in understanding their pain points, working together so that we are involved in the business strategy, so that we are agile in our processes, and we are prototyping, we are pressure testing, and we are building, and then hopefully taking it to our customer for an ultimate vindication.
All right, so it's a cultural thing. Sounds like sounds like a big job, and I think getting your business peers involved is sort of key to making all this happen. You have to get the buy-in from the people on top, so that it filters down to everyone within an organization. What are some of the key points to remember in getting your peers involved?
So a couple of key points to remember that the peers, the business peers who joined this process, they need to come with an open mind, right? And then, but before you start that, I mean, I would say that make sure that we have a very common, consistent definition of what we are trying to address, right? I mean, that is very key. And once that is set, then have people involved there, that they are creative, they are entrepreneurial, that they are thinking outside the box, they are challenging the norm, and then they consistently want to be the best and to serve the customer the best in the industry. And then it's a teamwork. It's not I, it's we and our customer. And the last thing I would say around that is to ensure that you build a culture that promote building of ideas, building of solutions, building of programs, and not to destroy other ideas.
So you get everybody thinking about innovation. We have a question that just came in from our audience. I'd like to read it to you. You mentioned unstructured data. Can you give an example and tell us how it has been utilized to drive the business? Is big data something driving growth, or is it just a buzzword? How is the IT organization keeping up with the new technology? And do they have the skills? Can they actually keep up? Is that a struggle for you?
It is. It is a challenge because these skills are very scarce, and this skills is a unique skills. It's not only just an IT skill. Is the people, the practitioner in this space, not only have to understand the technology, but they also have to have an understanding of the business processes, respecting of business financials. Because again, as I mentioned, innovation is not for the sake of innovation. Innovation is truly becomes critical and useful when you are driving business value. As far as unstructured data, as far as around that, the video, the text, the mobile messages, around and the different types of data that we are consuming, the choices of the customer that we have, that we would like to transact, we would like to have the experience, what we are doing it in our daily personal life. We want to marry that and have the same sort of an experience in a digital life and carry it across different platforms that we are interacting with, right? So images, text, voice are all part of this unstructured data that when we talk with our friends, with our peers, with our business partners, during a single conversation, we are talking about and using so many different types of data types, and we want to make sure that they are aligned together to enrich the customer behavior.
Yeah, and I think that's obviously big data is a hot topic right now with a lot of companies. Even the company I work for right now has a data initiative because and we're an information company, but a data initiative driving new business ventures. So I imagine that's very important for waste management. But I'm thinking, and again, getting back to the question I just asked, is how do you make sense of all that data? Obviously, you're collecting a lot of information.
Right.
It hits a lot of areas. You tossed around the term Internet of Things earlier. I mean, how do you make sense of all that data? It seems like an enormous task.
It is an enormous task, and if you try to tackle it in every possible shape and form, it becomes very monumental. So the way I think about it, and the way we are doing it, is trying to chop it by business functions, right? For
Hmm.
either fleet or operations or customer care and so forth. So think through a business process, which itself, as to your point, has enormous amount of data. So to help, look for intuitive tools and the front end to help manage this enormous volume of data, the different types of data. And also it will help you, I think, not to make any obvious big mistakes, right? Because in this space, it's a cliche, but it's garbage in, garbage out. We got to make sure that we get a hold of, we understand the data sources, we pull the data in, churn the data, seemingly unrelated as it may be, into meaningful information, and to make sure that the tools, the people, they are all aligned and they're looking at the same thing in the same way, have some sort of a 360 loop, I would say. Pressure test that with the outcome is what the thing that is getting out of that crystal ball, is that how good it is? Is it fall within your level of tolerance? Take that and take it to your customer to see whether it makes sense for them or whether it's going to work for them. And do it early, do it soon, so that if you do need to course correct, you can do it at the start of this journey, not toward the end of the journey. And keep the dashboard up, the front end dashboard and the back end dashboard, so you know, and you have a visibility, you have a transparency of what you are seeing, what's happening, and you are making hopefully real-time decisions.
Okay, I'd like to remind everybody that you can ask questions by submitting them on the right column of the page or through Hangout Q&A. So please do ask questions. Gautam, you mentioned you sort of have had a strategy, a process for big data, mentioning front-end dashboards and end dashboards. Did you sit down and establish a game plan on that process, or is that pretty much coming into place and you're making that as you go along and as the big data comes in?
Yeah, I wish I would say that, hey, we have figured it out, we have a strategy in place.
I wish you did too.
But like, as you know, if you ask the same question to a lot of other organizations, they probably would say the same. But so what we do, see, we are, and one of the thing I mentioned about innovation is this: it needs to be agile. Of course, there is a certain amount of right amount, I should say, of processes that needs to be in place. But if it gets too formalized, if it's like a straight or a square box, and you have to go through endless levels of due diligence to get your ideas approved and move forward, then the process, I think, lost that inertia that you want. So the way we do over here is we have a process in place, a structure in place, and we work via that process, via the structure. And again, for us, it really starts with our business, right? Understanding their business problem, understanding the impact to their P&L, understanding the impact to the integrated P&Ls, and then translating back and of course, that is a financial view of our business, and understanding how these sets up as a value proposition for our customers. I mean, we want to provide differentiated, competitive services, capabilities for our customers. And this data, big data, people use the word big data, as you said, left and right, and overuse it. To me, it really boils down to know your customer and serve them the best in the industry. And whether you call it a big data, whether you call it process, analytics, tools that goes around it, it's just at the end of the day is we need to understand who our customer, why they are calling, what do they need, and how can I make their life better.
Okay, it's almost like taking big data and looking for that big opportunity within all this information you're collecting. Are there any instances that you can point to or talk about where, as you've collected data, it's sort of sparked an idea for a new business venture or a new customer experience?
Yeah, so I mean, and we are going through that process, Tim. I mean, for example, we are looking into our online channels. We are looking into our fleet operations. We are looking into our fleet operations, fleet maintenance, customer care. There are in our pricing strategy. So there are different different business verticals we are looking at, different business processes that we are looking at. And we are definitely appreciating and learning about our customers, our transactions, our customer journey, and our strength and opportunities of our internal processes.
And as we noted earlier, it's important to get buy-in from the top down. And so I'm just wondering, what role do you see the CIO playing in all of this? At the CIO Executive Council, we sort of look at the CIO as a pathfinder, not necessarily the digital champion. And I'm not sure. I'd be interested to see what your view on that is.
Yeah, so the way I instead of coining a term or label, I would say the CIO should help build a culture of entrepreneurship, right? Again, he or she would find and empowered people and empowered people to be successful and be a real change agent, drive the change constantly through the organization, not only in IT but with the partnership with business. The person also should make and help in making long-term commitments so that there is a stability, there is a strategy, there is a continuity to this process, so that people just don't think that it's really an on and off sort of a thing, and it changes every couple of days or weeks or months. There needs to be some sort of a momentum that we need to help build for our organization. And then we should open the organization up for collaboration, making it easy for people to meet, work, exchange ideas and information. And then surround that with the right cadence of business communication. So, and it's right about building, aiding, in fact, a culture of learning, a culture of entrepreneurship, a culture of not accepting mediocrity and is of growth.
I see, and that's exactly some of the stuff we're hearing here at the council. When we talk to other CIOs who are involved in digital initiatives, they point to areas like education, having that vision, governance, collaboration. These are all very key things to make all of this happen. And you've given some great advice to other IT leaders out there to start on that path to go forward, or even if they're there already, just to keep on pushing it forward. I think the unique thing about your business is it's so dependent on customer satisfaction, the customer experience, and then you throw digital disruptors into the mix, and that sort of stirs the pot a bit. What are some of the challenges from the customer standpoint in terms of educating them and having them share your vision in terms of where you want to go and what you are?
Right. So some of the challenges would be prioritization, would be a focus, ensure the simplicity of the message. We have to build a message that's a win-win message. We have to ensure that there is an integration between the customer care and the services. We have to build the level of trust. We have to ensure that when they call us or when they interact with us, that we answer their questions and take care of their need at the first interaction as much as possible. We have to also make sure that Our data are good, our data are clean, so when we are interacting with that with the customer, we are providing again the right information at the right time to the right customer on the right channel of their choice.
Yeah, I think trust is important, and I think, but essentially it comes down to this, especially to me as a consumer, you know, keep my costs down, and make my garbage disappear on every Tuesday morning, and that develops trust, and essentially that's what your systems are doing. It's making that whole process a little more seamless.
That's right. I mean, look, as you said very correctly, our business is to do what we are supposed to do, is to go there and help you empty the garbage, as you say, take your waste up, take your and then transfer it in a very safe, secure manner. And we have to do it consistently. We have to do it accurately. And in throughout this process and in between this process, this journey, we want to make sure that we empower you with information so you know that we are your trusted provider.
And hopefully you're not collecting it too early on a Saturday morning to wake me up. I like to sleep in a little bit. You mentioned earlier, you know, we have the customer experience, that a lot of what you're doing also impacts partners and suppliers. Talk a little bit about that, the B2B aspect.
So for sure. So from an IT perspective, right? If you look into that, as far as the suppliers and the partners, we interact with quite a lot with our. If you look into our data center footprint, if you look into our field technology that we are using, you mentioned about data analytics, you mentioned about big data, IoTs, and various forms of technology that is out there. So we have partnered with the names that are again trusted, because we want our customers to trust us. We want to make sure that we and our business partners have trust built with us. Now, when we are working with partnership with our customers, with our business, what we have seen more and more is that the need of being digital, right? Of interconnected systems. We have moved away from manual processes into automation enabled via technology, right? And the way we are trying to build our processes, our technologies, is from a perspective of a common platform. So irrespective of a partner technology or partners architecture, infrastructure architecture, we should be able to seamlessly connect via services that we offer and that we expose to the our partner community. Some of these connections are over secure networks. Some of these conversations are over internet. Of course, with due diligence on security.
Right, and I think that's probably a huge challenge. So you have partners who may not be as adept as waste management in terms of what the tools they're using, the technology that's in play. So you're dealing with a lot of legacy systems, incompatible systems maybe. So is that a huge challenge for you going forward?
You know, it has been before, but what we have done through technologies such as virtualizations, technologies such as VDI, application rationalization, technologies such as MPLS networks. So what we have over a course of time built an ecosystems of technologies, interconnected technologies that we are making as much as possible that are very common and able to interact with our business partners, right? And I would say this: some of the business partners that we are interacting with, they are also consuming technology, maybe not as in the scale and the scope and the breadth of what we are. But we are finding, what I'm finding more and more, that some of their technology that you see in their data centers or their server closets are not that too far behind.
I see, and I want to touch upon the topic of security in a moment, but we have a question that just came in from the audience. I'd like to present that to you. The question is, you are dealing with the business units driving their own projects that include IT. How do you deal with the business units driving IT? And how are you reining in shadow IT? I think it's a very important question.
Yeah, both of these questions are really a good question, and it's not only a waste management; it's really across any industry you can that's out there. So let me address both. So as far as business driving IT, uh, so look, the way if we for a moment think that we know from an IT perspective more about business, we know better than our business partners of what works, what doesn't work, how to interact with our customer. I think maybe we probably are living in the false pretense, right? So the way we are approaching is this, that we are a partner, a consultant to our business partners. We have gained trust. We have got a slice of the mind share, given what we have delivered consistently over the past 5 years, ensuring the availability of our business services and so forth. So in that process, as we are working, we are understanding some of the challenges they are having. They want to grow the business. They are working on reducing the operational costs. They are working on reducing the SG&A, the impact on EBIT, the impact of EBITDA, and then translating that and internalizing that. Like, okay, so now we know, for example, one of your concern is, let's say, fleet maintenance cost, right? And what we would do, let me go back. Let's work with IT. Let's look into our business partners, understand what are some of the capabilities out there to provide our business, to enable our business with the visual, with the data, with the information that they need to make to improve not only their P&L, but in fact taking care of their customer. So as far as business driving IT, as far in terms of roadmap and projects, I think it's a natural evolution. I mean, IT is not sitting by IT by itself. It starts with a business strategy, then that translates into an IT strategy, and then that translates into the corresponding application infrastructure strategy. And as far as the shadow IT, that's the real concern. Uh, when I started here with management 5 years ago, we have had quite a few of these shadow IT pockets out there. Over the course of the last 5 years, we have worked tirelessly, extensively, and we were able to consolidate what as you're calling the shadow IT or field IT back into a centralized function. Now, the way we went about doing that, not by saying, well, we deserve it. The way we did it is we earned it. And the way we earned it is through projects that we executed, being efficient, effective, and lean. We drove down the cost of running business, and along in this journey, we ensure that we enable the business processes for them. So it is much more from hey, we need to do this because everyone is doing it. It's the right thing to do. Here we earn their trust and their respect, and we were able to consolidate these shadow IT pockets into a centralized under a centralized location. There's still one or two areas we need to still pull in, but that has been quite a remarkable success for waste management.
Yeah, and I think if we step in the Wayback Machine for a moment and go back 5 years, when IT was perhaps more of a service bureau, more so than it is a partnership today, you had to deal with a lot of challenges back then to convince those people in the upper levels of the business side that you are truly a partner. So I would imagine early in your career with waste management, when you presented an IT project, you would be talking about how much money it saved, how much time savings, and how fast it could be delivered. And today, you're probably talking more about what it can add to the brand of the customer experience. Is that correct?
It is. The role has transformed from operational to functional to a solution provider, and I see it is evolving into a business strategist. So you are right. In the beginning, it was more so of basic blocking and tackling, getting the service availability up, getting the system up, ensuring there is the right RTO, RPO, SLAs built around these capabilities and services that we are providing. And now we have transformed this or evolved into discussions such as enabling business, growing our business, ensuring customer care, making sure that we serve our customer the best in the industry. So it has been metamorphosed into from a more tactical to a more strategic. There's still more work to be done, but I believe we are moving in the right direction.
And I would imagine that the expansion of digital tools into the consumer market and into the hands of your customers had a lot to do with driving, or at least raising the awareness for the importance of IT as part of the business structure. It's almost like what happened with bring your own device into companies, where it convinced them that you don't have to be stuck with a really strict list of devices. You can have people bring their own, and we'll adapt to that. So it's a lot of flexibility involved.
It is. It's a lot of flexibility involved. And when we talk about digital, I mean, I don't really see digital as a set of technology, but it's more of an experience, right? It is an experience. I mean, as a consumer, I have basic need, and I would like to my vendor, my supplier, my partner to provide that need as efficiently and effectively as possible. I want that partner to be my very trusted business partner. So instead of saying, hey, here's the price, accurate price, I would like the business partner to help me, to guide me, to provide me an entire ecosystem of choices and solutions that are geared for me. So customization, and I would like to have that solution available to me whenever I need, like as you mentioned, on the weekends or outside hours, as you are on the car, you are reading through looking through tablets, or whatever may be the case. So it's a customer experience, a consistent customer experience. It's a customer experience that us as a customer we would like to consume any place, anywhere, anytime of our liking. And what we have to do from an IT perspective is ensure that these journeys, these transactions are transformed and easily moved from a channel to a next. I mean, if I'm a user, I am doing my transaction on the web. Something came up. I have to take my kid to a soccer game. I am on the car driving. My kid is playing, and while I'm watching the game, and in between, I would like to pick up on that transaction right on the phone. So the flexibility of extending that transaction across time, across channel, across mode is quite important, and that is giving rise to this digital phenomenon that we are all under.
Right, and I think that some of the things you're doing in terms of the digital tools at your disposal, the big data tools, the analysis tools, are very important going forward with that. Do you see the need for more data analysis tools to be developed, or is there a lack of necessary tools? Well, is there something you want to do that the technology just hasn't caught up with yet?
That's a great question. So I would say, for what I would like to see from a digital tool or from an analysis tool is to be more catered towards solving certain business problems, right? So there are tools, good tools that they are pulling in that able to consume a variety of the data. So the velocity, the volume, the variety, they are tools that are very good in sucking it in, in taking it in. Now they're churning it. It's like a crystal ball, and then out come information that we want to be actionable for our business process. So what I would like to see more of is the business intelligence part of it. Instead of peanut buttering it, saying, okay, I'm going to take the tools in, raw, I can, take in as much as you can, put through me, and now here is a whole slew of metadata for you to figure it out. Boy, it would be so nice if there are tools specific developed for business use cases, so that I can really do a cradle to grave sort of an analysis on the customer care and customer journey, or a business process, so I can provide so I can take on some meaningful, actionable task on that for that business process.
And I assume that a lot of the innovation ideas and projects that are going along inside waste management, those are sort of popping up as the most important things, and you're taking notice of those things.
They are. I mean, as I mentioned, that look. I mean, it's not like here is a formalized program we have, as I've shared with you. We have different business processes. We follow sort of the same structure. We go through this cadence of partnership with our business, and as we go through this process, we are learning some of the challenges and opportunities that we have internally, that we see in our tools, we see in our external communications. We see some of the challenges that exist, and then we work through the respective partners. We offer and we extend that partnership. So it's a partnership between business and IT within waste management, and then we extend that partnership to our suppliers to ensure that we are all working together, trying to fulfill a nascent need of our customers. So the goal is the same, and if the intent is there, it can happen.
Right, and you mentioned not having a structure to that innovation program within waste management. Sometimes that's a plus. I mean, if you're too structured, you kind of miss it. It doesn't let people, the culture, really blossom and experience everything.
Right, and I call it, there's always, of course, there's a need for a balance. I mean, to go one way or to go the other way becomes problematic. So we have to take into account the governance. We have to take into account some of the basic checks and balance in place, right? We have to ensure there's a business case that is there. We have to ensure there's a right ROI, payback, IRR. You have to make sure you go through the internal hurdles. So there are certain fundamental frameworks, certain fundamental governance, there are certain fundamental matrix and scorecard that I would like to check mark. But if you make it too strangling, then you are I think it is counterproductive to innovation.
Yeah, it's like wearing a tie, and you don't really want to wear one. You mentioned checks and balances, and that's a great segue to the next question we have from our audience concerning security. The question is, there's been so much negative press in the past few years regarding data breaches at some of the world's largest companies. These breaches have damaged corporate reputations and harmed consumer confidence, that trust factor. What is Waste Management doing to protect their data and keep themselves from being a victim of a breach?
Yeah, so I can talk some of it, but because of the sensitivity of the issue, as we all know. We are doing, I wish, I mean, again, it would sound like a cliche, but things that are common sense, right? We are for internal waste management, for the companies, for the data, we have like any mature organizations programs, like an enterprise risk management program. It starts from there. We got to understand what our critical data are, what our assets are. I think it is difficult to take security and then try to peanut butter across everything, right? So we got to ensure that we understand what our crown jewels are, where our data sits, how important the data, if we have a quantification or valuation of that data, and how that data is important, how critical is that data is for our business. And then, so it's, here again we talk about there was a question how you feel about business driving IT. So here is a perfect example where we do need business partnership in defining the criticality of the data, the classification of the data, the valuation of the data. And based on that, then we can apply the right cadence of technology around it, right? Well, that goes around securing the data. And whether we do that, whether the data sits on waste management data centers, or whether data is in the cloud with our vendor partner. Again, the notion of, is this data important? And if this data happened to be out in the internet, what would be the ramification for that? And then we necessarily make technology decisions to ensure that there's an alignment between business risk, technology capabilities, and then our company and surround that with our the goals and aspirations and the strategy of our company.
Yeah, and those business partnerships are important, and sometimes they come from the strangest places, or some business or industries have business partnerships that don't necessarily exist in other businesses. And one thing I'm thinking of is, and people look at healthcare and they know there's a lot of regulation in healthcare. There's a lot of government overseeing of what's happening in terms of privacy and records and management and all that stuff. The same stuff is happening in recycling and waste management. I assume that there are a lot more regulations you have to deal with, and I imagine the more digital you get and the more digitally intuitive you get, that it's easing that process.
Is what the process, Tim?
It's making that process more streamlined.
It is. It's making the process streamlined, but I would say it's also adding a cost to the process, right? So we need to be cognizant. It helps. It brings standardization in place. It ensures it gives a dimension, or it gives a definition of how and where and what to do. That's for sure. Whether it is a state level, federal level, or at a city level or local level. So it helps streamline. Of course, again, it sets standards. And it ensures that makes it easier in your as you mentioned, streamline. It helps different business partners. It helps the consumer with the technology vendor to integrate a bit more easier with each other. Because if without certain right amount of regulations, standards, it makes this challenge even harder. This problem even harder.
Okay. I wouldn't say that waste disposal is the oldest profession. That's arguable, but it's been around for a long time. So, and obviously making changes it can be difficult. And a lot of companies have a legacy. They've been around for a long time, and they're competing with the Airbnbs and the Ubers and the Lyfts of the world and all these digitally disruptive young companies. What kind of recommendations or advice would you give to a company that's been around for a while and is really wants to get more digital?
Yeah, it's a great question. I would say that whether you are a legacy company, whether you've been there for a long time, or just coming out of the gate, or a greenfield type of coming out of doing or starting it from your garage, I think, I think I mentioned this, but I will repeat it again: the extreme desire towards customer service. And it starts with that, because we are developing digital, we are developing technology. It's not for ourselves. It's really for the customer, to provide an exemplary customer care. I mean, it's really, I believe, in my opinion, that's where it starts. You don't accept mediocrity. You challenge the norm. You help build or grow the culture of learning and change. Team is of utmost importance. Continuous baselining, customer feedback, and be real and be honest with yourself. You understand the organization's strength and weakness. Be flexible enough to in your innovation or digital strategy, and then adapt and change of what you are working on. You may not get it. We may not get it right on the first. But if we have the right set of thresholds, dashboard in place, and we are hearing from our customer, we are accepting, understanding their feedback, and truly doing something with it, it's truly it truly changes the dynamics of the game. And then having a right incentive model in place. And when I say incentive, I really don't. It not necessarily means compensation. But appreciation, recognition, and listening to our employee, and empowering them in the truest of the mean. And you go through the process, and I would say just live through it. And as you go through it, as you live through it, a few of these attempts on innovation and your digital journey will impact your customer. and then you know you probably have hit the right chord.
Here's a question from our audience again. Obviously, customer experience is tantamount at Waste Management. It's very important. But technology, the advancement of technology is just advancing at such an incredible clip going forward, and probably more so on the consumer side in terms of what they're adopting, what they're using, how they use it. Do you find it a challenge to keep a little bit ahead of that, or keeping up with that, or do you think that's even necessary?
You know, again, it's a good question. Now, keeping ahead of that, or even keeping up to it is a challenge, because, as you know, the world has gone. It's now a globalization effect. I mean, the information is freely flowing. There are so many innovation, so many avenues of bringing technology into our economy. The cost of entry has got reduced significantly. So when you are dealing with these constant rate of disruption or technology evolution, in case technology revolution, so it is a challenge to keep up. So the way we look at it is that, again, from understanding our customer profile, our customer needs are not exactly the same as in any other industry, like your financial industry, like your travel industry. There are basic requirements there, of course, overlapping requirements. So understanding your customer, understanding the services that you are providing, ensuring that the services and the capabilities that you are building for your customer align with your business strategy, then it helps to stay focused. You know, one of the challenge you mentioned, what is one of the challenge of in a digitized world, is really to stay focused, because you open the magazine, you go to a conference, you see so many technologies that are thrown at you, right? With so many business partners wants some time from you. So is to ensure that we stay focused, ensure that all of us are rowing the paddle in the right direction, and you keep your core team, your team intact, to ensure that you successfully execute and execute on the strategy.
Okay, one final question, since we're winding down to the last few minutes. You mentioned the need to stay focused, and I'm just wondering, how do you see your role changing, or the challenges increasing over the next year, even 5 years? What will be your new responsibilities going forward?
You know, I wouldn't not so much say new, but is a evolution of the current role. So as I mentioned, it has evolved into a solution, a business solution provider, to more of a business strategist role, and to help in the responsibility space, to help in the growth of the company, to ensure that we lead, or I lead opportunities for us to be lean, be efficient and effective, and provide exemplary customer care, help our business to provide exemplary customer care for our customer.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much, Gautam. I appreciate your candor and all your insights. It was very helpful.
Thank you, Tim, and thank you, the guest, and thank you for the questions for this session. Appreciate it.
Great. We've been speaking with Gautam Roy, Vice President of IT at Waste Management. I'd like to remind everyone that this session is on demand. It has been on demand very shortly after we started. Please check out some of the resources that ran across your screen as this session transpired. Check back for future CIO live events scheduled for later this year. I'd like to thanks for visiting the Enterprise CIO Forum today. If you're not already a member, I encourage you to join and contribute to these valuable discussions, blogs, and knowledge that drives this very active community. You can also take part in weekly Twitter chats each and every Thursday at 2 p.m. Again, that is #CIO chat. Finally, many thanks to this production sponsor, HP. This is Tim Scannell for the CIO Executive Council and CIO Live. We'll see you again soon.